I've run a development company for about 3 years now, and I've had clients, worth from like literally about $1,000 to, one client who recently hit $100,000 in lifetime value. And so I've learned a lot about retaining clients, losing clients. I made a lot of mistakes. I wanted to just go through the things that I did right and the things that I did wrong in order to keep clients for way longer and reach lifetime values of 6 figures or close to that. I'm going to go through the 3 biggest things that I think made a massive impact on my ability to retain clients for longer. I think finding the right type of clients also makes a massive difference in obviously the LTV of a client. How good of a job you do for them and all that is important, but finding the right type of client is also incredibly important, but that's a different video of its own. These 3 things are basically designed to help you keep your existing clients for way longer, make them way happier, have them bring in more referrals, things like that. First things first is just doing great work. And what I mean by that is fundamentally you must have standards that are at least matching that of your clients or exceeding what they consider to be good enough. You have to have a higher bar than they do, if possible. Now, at the very least, you have to match them. If what you consider good enough is lower than what they consider good enough, they are always going to complain and say that you did a shit job. It's really, really important that at the very least, you try and exceed their standards and expectations. And that is the baseline that you have to reach. And the reality is most people don't realize their standards are maybe not as high as they think they are. You have to keep pushing your standards higher and higher and higher. Every time you produce a piece of work for your clients, you want them to be impressed. If your clients are not impressed with what you're producing, that means that your standards could go higher than theirs. It's really important that you try and push that boundary as much as possible, as often as possible. I see far too many people get really comfortable with where they are. On a very tactical level, what it means to have higher standards is to care more about the details. I have a really weird example that I like to tell people when it comes to this stuff. When I go to a nice restaurant, I think you can tell how nice a restaurant is by going to their bathrooms. How nice are their bathrooms? Because that tells you how much they care about the details that are in the backside of the restaurant that nobody really cares about when they walk in. It's how much do they care about the smallest thing that maybe very few people see, but that's still important. That makes a difference. And so if you want to bring your standards higher and you don't know how to do that, it's just caring more about the details. That's really what it comes down to. The second thing that made a massive impact was having a very, very regular over-communication cadence. On a weekly basis nowadays, my clients will get weekly demos or wrap-up videos from me, so I will record a little Loom video and I send it to them. I will write up exactly what's going on with the project. What I said in the Loom video, I'll also put into a text, bullet point thing, and then I'll put this into a document on Notion. I send it over. I also send over the Loom. The Loom is also linked in the document. That document is put into a Project HQ document, which has week by week everything that's been going on. And so they have week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way through to however many weeks the project is. They always get updates. So they always know when to expect an update, when to expect kind of like a what's going on, heads up on that. And they always can check what happened last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever, they can check every single time. Oftentimes, many of my clients don't even open the videos. I can see when people watch the videos and some of them don't get opened ever, but that's okay. The whole idea is that it's over communicated, and at no point in time does any client ever ask me where's my project or what's going on. And I think that helped me retain them, because one of the really common pain points when working with agencies is that you don't get enough communication. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where the project is, what the agency's been working on, whatever. And that's a problem with kind of lower level agencies. When we implemented this, it really helps reduce uncertainty for the client, and that's something that has massive value, because you make people feel very confident that work is happening and the project is moving forward. And so the uncertainty that they had causes them stress. When they don't hear from you, they're uncertain. Is he working on it? Is he not? What's going on? That causes stress. If you can reduce that stress, it makes their experience overall better. And that's really what we're going for here. We want to reduce the amount of stress as much as possible for the client. The third thing, and it's kind of related to the second thing, the third thing is about overproducing documentation. So overproducing on anything that is planning related, you make it and you share it. Don't hide your planning documents, share them, show them to the client, show them how much work you're putting into that preparation phase. Scoping documents, feature lists, planning, any diagrams that you do, anything that you might use internally, even just with the team, it's useful to show to the client, because it demonstrates how much attention to detail and how much you're putting into the process. I realized this one time really clearly when I was hiring a designer, and I asked her to do a project for me. We had this initial project brief, and I threw things up and she put things onto a document, and we were subcontracting her just for a one-time thing, and we ended up later hiring her full-time. She was working on this Figma document, and I was checking every once in a while, and she had this drafts page, whatever, and she had some sketches on there. And then toward the end, she was like, okay, I'm gonna clean up everything, I'm gonna put the sketches away, I'm gonna hide all that, whatever. And I said, no, it's fine. Organize it, but don't remove the sketches and the planning work, because it shows me how the concept evolved, and it's really cool to see how much you put into the thoughts and the brainstorming part of it. For me as a client, that had a lot of value, and I think for my clients as well, it has a lot of value when we produce extra documentation, because it helps them understand more of our thinking. We're showing our working, we're showing how we're getting to the answers that we have. And I think that's something that people enjoy because it helps them understand where you are. And if they understand you, they feel comfortable with you, they trust you more. And trust is paramount if you want to keep a client for a long time. If your client feels that you're trustworthy, they're way more likely to stick around for as long as they can. These things have made a massive impact on my ability to retain clients. And I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, also struggle with this, especially like smaller operations, freelancers, whatever. And I think you can learn from these things. And I certainly wish I knew them earlier. When I started out, I didn't have a regular communication cadence. I'd message haphazardly here and there. I didn't schedule calls. Now we have regular weekly calls with clients. I didn't have those scheduled before. To be honest, it was just a bit of a mess. I was kind of all over the place and we didn't have loads of documentation or anything. We didn't do enough to reduce client uncertainty. And honestly, I think that created a lot of anxiety for some of my early clients, which I'm not happy about, but we learned and we improved and we've made every single project better than the last one, which is something I am quite happy about and I aim to continue to do. Anyway, if you've made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. Feel free to comment any questions you might have. I record every day and I try and read the comments, so if there's good ones, I try and make videos from that. Yeah, I hope this video was at least somewhat useful.